Hi guys, Ajax AZ 0-0. Sahbi, a few weeks ago, you said instead of looking up, we should be actually not being surprised of looking down, the way things are going. And, unfortunately, things are going the way you're saying it's going. What did you think of the game today in general? And we'll talk about other things as well. So just your first thoughts about the game.
To give a short summary, created huge chances against this AZ. AZ had some huge chances as well, but our gameplay was poor. We played a very low tempo. We played static football, which is very predictable for our opponent, too predictable, and we're still vulnerable in transition, and that's worrying me the most. And we could clearly see that in this game. I was really emotional today because I got some Schreuder vibes again, and that ain't good. That ain't good. If I get those vibes, and it's terrible. I didn't see any energy in the game, no heart and soul. To put what's at stake. We are third in position. We can even drop to fourth, but not only think about dropping fourth. We could get back and try to put pressure on PSV, right? And now that's gone. So we're third for fuck's sake, and we have to look downwards instead of upwards, and that's shameful, shameful, and that showed on the pitch.
Yeah. Look, let me ask you a few questions. So you
Yeah,
say
man.
Schroeder vibes. What is the thing that gives you Schroeder vibes recently or now today? I don't know.
Well, the way that we could not build up our gameplay, it was so easy for AZ to press us very high. I mean, I think in the first half, really had most of the ball touches from all the Ajax players, I think. And that's something that we have seen at Schreuder when Schreuder was coach as well. So that was the first thing. Secondly, the way we try to conquer the ball, there's no pressure at all. We're just waiting, waiting, and waiting, not putting the pressure that like the boss football that we want to see. That was at Schreuder as well. But what worried me the most is the lack of putting Tadic on the bench somehow in the second half, or even after the first half. He was one of the poor. It was one of the poorest play of Tadic during the whole season. He didn't play that well. It was like we were playing with 10 men in first half. The 10 position is not for him. Is not for him. So it looks like, just as Schroeder, that Hadicha wants to put Tadic in the first 11. Doesn't matter where. The left wing wasn't an option because Bergwijn was playing. Broby would play in strike position. So, hey, let's put Tadic on the 10 position because he needs to play. And that's exactly what happened with Schroeder. And he put him then on the left wing, putting Bergwijn again on the right wing, especially the things that Schroeder also did. So
Yeah.
it looks like he wants to play the certain type of players, while we have sufficient options on the bench.
Yeah.
Play Conceição way earlier, or play Gods if you want to have somebody on the left wing. If it's something in midfield, play Klaassen on the 10 position and put Vos in midfield. There are so many options, but still he wants to give Tadic the benefit of the doubt, which is unbelievable for me at this moment.
Yeah. You already touched upon this, but also for me, what was a bit staggering was twice. First, during the half break time. After the half break time, he makes one substitution, but he shuffles the whole back line, basically. And then
Yeah.
later on, he comes with two substitutions, but then everything shifts up front. It's not like one position for one position. He's shuffling the whole team. Is usually we know this, right? We've been watching football for a very long time, you and me. When a coach does this, it's not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign. Maybe you can also look at it from a positive side, trying to make the opponent a bit crazy, like making them doubt and making them change their game plan, because different players on different positions could be a good thing. But if you look at this current situation. We saw Tadic didn't play well. Why not changing his position, bench him, and put someone on 10 position? And I wouldn't even though Klaas played a poor game for the first half, you could have played him on a 10 position and put another midfielder at his position, like Voss, for
Yeah.
example,
For
and so on,
example,
and so on, and so on. So it's Schreuder vibes, man, and it ain't good.
yeah. Look, another question that I have. Look, despite everything we're talking about, it wasn't good. There were like things that didn't go well. Also, I thought sometimes we looked very vulnerable in transition. You said that already. You
Yeah,
saw that
yeah,
our front line and our back line was a little bit too width. It was too much room for the opposition to play
100%.
football. Although they
Yeah.
didn't really capitalize on it, there were some vulnerable areas in that regard. Question: if you exclude everything, all these kind of things we're talking about, all the negativity and stuff, we still could have won the game.
Yeah, that should say enough, doesn't it? I mean, we had some huge chances. Broby wasted 100% chance. I mean, I'm saying this so many. I said this so many times, but even my grandma could have scored that goal. Come on, man, Broby. He should have been a clinical striker, and I'm still flabbergasted with the fact that he didn't score that goal. Furthermore, there were chances from Bergwijn on the post, on the crossbar. We got that chance where Broby snatched that chance from Kudus in the first half, where he
Yeah,
could have easily headed the ball into goal. So there were many chances,
yeah.
uh,
But
but
one
they were
question
not
about
really
Broby.
created or something.
Yeah, one question about
Sorry?
Broby, right? I know we haven't seen
Yeah.
him play a lot this season. Now we've seen him play from start to finish a couple of times. Maybe it's too early to tell, but I just want your opinion on, because there are two camps, right? Some camps are put him, let him play. He's still young, he can develop. Others are saying, honestly, he shouldn't be our main striker right now. He lacks something. He lacks maybe clinical finishing or something else. Where do you stand right now in this discussion?
No, I'm of the opinion that he should play, but if he plays bad, he should be substituted. I mean, who do we got as a replacement besides Tadic? Because Tadic can eventually play anywhere, but who can we play there now
We have
at
an
this
Italian,
moment?
we have an
And not
Italian player, but he doesn't play.
sorry.
We have an Italian pinch hitter, but he doesn't play. Only when we're three
Yeah,
zero
I
down
mean,
against PSV, he gets a chance to come in. But otherwise, he doesn't
in
play.
the last minutes. No, I mean, of course, we have Luca, but Luca would only uh, the tempo with Luca would be way lower if we would play with him. He's only fit. He only fits when you play long balls, and that's not the way we should play. Luca should only be needed when we need to prioritize something. We need to score that goal in the last minutes, or we need to get back in those last minutes. So he's not a starter for me. So we
Okay,
only got Broby,
all right,
but Broby needs to finish those chances. And of course, as we said during the live session earlier this week, we need to get a new striker. Need to get a new striker. That's clear.
okay. Look, I've been reading, and we've been reading a lot of comments, throughout the season, and also in the recent month, of all the ones that watches us, and like in the live stream, but also after the game talks, they put some comments, and we read them, and sometimes we react to them as well. I would just want to mention one of those comments that have been coming up from Steve, I believe, and he's been saying something very interesting lately. He's been saying, so we know that Heitinga took over after the Volendam game, which was in January, right? So it's been a couple of months now. So do you have a clear vision, or do you see what Heitinga is trying to do with his team? Are you seeing some patterns or things you're like, okay, this is what Heitinga is trying. Maybe it's not working out, but this is what he wants. Are you seeing that? Because Steve is saying, I'm not seeing it yet. I don't know what he wants. What do you think?
No. Well, I do agree with him. At first, I thought I'd see a pattern. He kept on playing certain players on the position. It was irrespective how they played. He tried to have some continuity, and with some type of gameplay. But after the first setback, it just went like a house of cards. Everything went bad, and it looked like he didn't know what to do afterwards. He kept on changing players, kept on playing a different way of playing, putting a right wing, a right winger. We had a lot of injuries as well, but there was no fluidity in our gameplay. So yeah, I do agree with him. There's no clear way of play that we used to see or want to see. So yeah, agree with him, man.
Okay, finally, there was a discussion. You were in a live stream on Thursday between Ajax and Papimento. Basically, that heated discussion was about, if you have a squad that's imbalanced, because let's be fair, this Ajax squad is not balanced. It's hard for a coach. Schreuder struggled a lot. Heidegger is struggling now a little bit with it as well. So if you look at this squad and you look at the imbalances there are a couple of players that are pretty good players individually if you look at them. Do you still feel like we could do better, even though this team is not the team like that gels together the way we want to? Or are you more of the opinion like, no, if the team is imbalanced, it's very hard for a coach to get something better out of this? So where do you stand in that? Are you more Papimento's side or are you more Ajax side?
I'm more Switzerland side because although I do because I agree with both of them. I agree with both of them. We don't. It's so imbalanced that you can't really take much more of this team of this squad. But to remain third position, that's quite bad, and even becoming fourth, that would be really bad. Especially if you look at the quality of this squad. Look at Feyenoord. I'm not saying Feyenoord has a super team, but eventually they have. I mean, the individual players are not super, but some way they are gelled, and they have a lot of new players as well this season. So how come they are performing quite well and Ajax doesn't perform that well? And don't tell me every player of Feyenoord in the starting 11 is better than the 11 players of Ajax in the starting 11 because that's not true. So there should be something that that's missing. And if you look at the players, so it should be the coach most likely because it's a tactical thing. It's the mentality thing. It's the motivation thing because it's not only the players. Players lack quality in comparison with last season, with last seasons, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be league champions.